countdown. Listen. And look at this scene as the Giants defeat the Minnesota Vikings 24-23. Alex Webster on the shoulders in a tremendously emotional thing here at Yankee Stadium. With the Giants getting off with a stunning upset over Minnesota 24-23.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up or possibly leave a comment below or maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, shocking news. Newsflash. Kadarius Toney. He's out again. Hard to believe, I know. Yeah. It makes you just kind of wonder, I mean, I don't know. Is the guy just trying to take his money and run? Does the guy really want to play? Or, I mean, also, you know, at pick number 20, you know, because the Bears went from, 20 to 11, so we went from 11 all the way down to 20. So I'm not going to involve, to think about guys like Micah Parsons and all of that stuff and whatnot, who we could have had maybe if we'd stayed there. We didn't stay there. We moved back to 20. So instead of taking Kadarius Toney, is there anybody just in the first round that got taken? I'm not going back into the second round and the third. Guys got taken in the first round. Is there anybody that we could have picked that, maybe have been a little bit better than a Kadarius Toney, right? Now, so far he's got, for the season, I mean, on offense, he had 302 snaps. 39 receptions out of the 302 snaps. So, more than one out of every snap he was on, 10 snaps he was on the field, he's grabbing a reception. He only had 420 yards. So he's averaging a little over 10 yards of reception, just a little over 10 yards of reception. But I mean, catch the ball. Every time you catch a ball, you're gaining 10 yards. Can't complain about that. Problem, he had was no touchdowns, but that's because the Giants' offense sucks. Well, look at Kenny Galladay. Spent $72 million on a guy. He didn't have any touchdowns either. So I mean, oh my God. Anyway, he had 3 rushes this year for 6 yards. Whoop-de-doo. But at least, the Clapper was trying to get him involved. Now, of course, it didn't. His rushes didn't work out too well. But he was trying. Sometimes, as I said, you get a guy that electric, you just try to get the ball in the guy's hands. Now, he's only making $2.5 million from what I saw this year. I think next year he's up to $3 million. But from what I think it was Sport Track, I think it was, I saw he was making like $2.495 million or something. So, I mean, so for $2.5 million, right? 39 receptions, or just say, even enough to say 40 receptions. So if you went out and you spent $5 million on a wide receiver, right? At that rate, at his rate, he'd have about 80 receptions. So, I mean, at his rate, if you spent $7.5 million on a wide receiver in free agency, at Kadarius Toney's rate, he would give you 120. Just at the rate, the money rate. That's all I'm going by here. So, for the amount of money they spent on him, his amount of receptions was, you can't complain. And the dude is freaking electrifying. Now he had 39, he had, the 39 receptions for 420. It's not bad for the 302 snaps and for $2.5 million. It's not bad. If you start multiplying things out, you start looking at it on a bigger scale, right? He had 302 snaps. Will Hernandez was in there for 1,042 snaps. He was like the Iron Man. Yeah, I don't think he's playing, or he might be doubtful for this weekend. But the first, 16 games he played, he had 1,042 snaps. He was the Iron Man. He had more snaps than anybody. So if you figure if he played as many snaps as Will Hernandez, you take his, 3 times his 302 snaps, he'd have like 906 snaps, right? So you triple the amount of snaps he would have if he was in there as much as Will Hernandez. He would have had 117 receptions for 1,260 yards. Of course, he still would have had no touchdowns, but you can just see. I mean, if the guy was healthy enough and all and everything, and he was on the field all the time, I mean. I know, because the amount of injuries he has, I know we're talking about a small miracle here for him to be just out there all the time. But if he was out there all the time, at the rate of what he had, the 39 receptions, he'd have 117 receptions. Jaylen Waddle is lighting it up. He has 99. But, I mean, you can see if Kadarius Toney was out there the whole time, what kind of production he'd have. The thing is, I mean, for talking about him getting like 900 snaps, is he ever going to play that many snaps? Is he ever going to want to play that many snaps? Is some of these injuries a little? Is he just trying to take some of his money and run? I mean, is he more worried about his rap career than he is? Is he going to be hurt the first 3 years of his, and then the 4th year he's going to ball out and stay nice and healthy and say, look what I did last year. Now, don't worry about the 30 games I missed my first 3 seasons. Look what I did last year. Give me some money. I mean, is that going to happen? Be very, very interesting to see. I mean, like all of a sudden Lorenzo Carter's lighting it up. He's had 4 sacks in the last 3 games. Giants are going to let him go. He wants to get signed to make some money from a team. Where was he at the first 3 quarters of the season? Anyway. On to Kadarius Toney. But, I mean, what was it? Week 6. I mean, he missed, the first part of the season, right? Week 6 against on the injury report, right? He was questionable versus the Rams. Week 7 against the Panthers, he was out. Week 8 versus the Chiefs, he was questionable. Week 12 versus Philadelphia, he was doubtful. Week 13 versus Miami, he was out. Week 17 versus the Bears, he was out. Week 18 versus the Washington football team this weekend, he's out. So, I mean, he's been out a lot. He's been questionable, doubtful, a lot. Now, he's our second highest graded player on offense. He's a 72.8. Andrew Thomas is number 1 on our team offensively. He's graded out at an 80. So, good for Andrew. Andrew Thomas is 64.2 last year. Now we bumped it up to an 80. So Andrew Thomas is a stud. But, you'd sure like to see Kadarius Toney get out there more often. The first week of the game of the season, he 5 snaps he was out there for. That was it. Second week, he had 19 snaps. Then the third week, he had 46 snaps. 4th week, he had 50 snaps. 5th week, he had 37 snaps. 6th week against the Rams, he was in there for 6 snaps. He had caught 3 passes in 6 snaps. Then he was out. Then week 7, he was out. Week 8, he was in there for 34 snaps. Week 9, he was for 31 snaps. Week 10, we had a bye. Week 11, he was in there for 35 snaps. Week 12, 13, 14, and 15, he was out. Week 16, he had 39 snaps. Week 17 and 18, he's out. So, 2 of the games. So he's missed this. With this game here, he's missed 7 games he's missed. Week 7, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, he's missed. So basically, since week 12, he's played 1 game. Week 16, he had 39 snaps. So he's missed 6 out of the last 7 games he's missed. Every time he plays, he comes off, and he's listed, he has a different injury. So basically, he's missed the 7 games this year, but 2 of the games, 1 game he had 5 snaps, another game he had 6 snaps. So, he missed 7. 2 of the other games he hardly played in at all. So basically, he's only played in about 8 games this year. But, you want to look at it, in the 8 games, he's had 39 catches. So, that's not bad. So he's played, about half the season. So about half the season, he had 39 catches. But, even when he's in the game, he's only in there for, maybe 40% of the plays. Look at some of the injuries he's had. He's had COVID twice, 2 times this year. Remember he had the problem with his cleats in spring training? I mean, I've never heard of that before. I mean, not that it couldn't happen, but I've never heard of that before. He's had a hamstring problem. He had an ankle problem. He's had a thumb problem, a quad problem, an oblique problem, and a shoulder problem. I mean, every time. During high school and junior, he had 3,604 yards passing and 896 rushing yards his junior season. He had 53 touchdowns as a junior. Man played a lot. Senior season in high school, he had 2,984 passing yards, 894 rushing yards. He had 47 touchdowns, 32 passing and 15 rushing touchdowns as a senior. Guy played a lot. His sophomore season, right, with the Gators, he played in 12 out of 13 games. Didn't have, only had 46 touches because he was a sophomore. He wasn't, he wasn't the high guy and on the totem pole or nothing like that. But he was in there 12 out of 13 games. Now the only little thing here was his senior season. He missed almost like half the season. He only played 7 out of the 13 games. He only had 22 touches for 253 yards and 1 touchdown. But his senior season, he played 11 out of 12 games. He had 19 rushes. He had 70 receptions. He had 89 touches for 1,145 yards and 11 touchdowns as a senior. He played 11 out of 12 games. This year he can't even play 11 out of 12 snaps. I mean, yeah. Now, could we have done better at number 20 than him? Because, I mean, obviously, the Bears, now the Bears are picking... right now, we got the Bears picked. They're picking number 8. Bears are 6-10. Bears are playing in Minnesota. So hopefully, if Minnesota can take care of business and beat the Bears will be 6-11, and the Bears will be picking like number 7 or 8, somewhere right around there, right? So that would be So you got to look at it. It's kind of like the Bear. It's kind of, if you want to say, like a 2-for-1. We're getting Kadarius Toney and we're getting the Bears pick this year. All right. But just say Kadarius Toney. I mean, when the guy, you seen him catch the ball. Guys have a hard time tackling him. All right, he's electric. Now, I mean, I don't know if it's it's just a one-time thing, or is hurt people play, or hurt people get hurt, and But the thing that kind of ticks you off a little bit is that you look at the guys drafted in front of him: Jamar Chase, Jaylen Waddle, DeVonta Smith. All 3 of those guys. I mean, DeVonta Smith is like 170 pounds. Jaylen Waddle's like 180 pounds. I mean, these guys are not big. And between Chase, Waddle, and Smith, all 3 of them combined, they've missed a grand total of 1 game this season. All 3 of those guys. 1 freaking game. Our guys missed half the season with half a dozen different injuries. Kind of just ticks you off a little bit. Now you can see, I mean, how explosive our guy can be. I mean, DeVonta Smith only has 61 catches and he's played all season. If our guy played all season, he had more than 61 catches for sure. Jaylen Waddle's lighting, and Jamar Chase is lighting on fire too. But Jaylen Waddle's got 99, catches. But I mean, Jaylen Waddle I think missed 1 game. Just 1. But DeVonta Smith weighs 170 pounds, has been in there for every freaking game. Our guy can't even be in there. He's in there for like half the games. Just kind of just ticks you off a little bit. But anyway, is there anybody else in the first round that got taken, behind Kadarius Toney that might be a little bit better? You got Kwity Paye, who was taken number 21 by the Colts. He's got 5 sacks. He's got 4 or 5. I've seen one website, he had 4, another one's got 5. Graded out of 69.3. Now, when the Giants were picking number 11, I seen some people kind of, say Kwity Paye might be drafted by the Giants, some of the mock drafts. So, Kwity Paye, we could use some edge rush help and some sacks and all that. And for his first season, guy graded out of 69.3, 4 or 5 sacks. Not too bad. Then you got Caleb Farley. All right, he's picked number 22 by the Titans. He's only played in 3 games. He's graded out of 45.7. So, no. Then you got Christian Darrisaw. All right, now this guy here, the tackle, he's missed 6 games. but he's graded. He was picked number 23 by the Vikings, but he's graded out so far to 70.8. He had a core and kind of a groin injury, and he had surgery on it. And that kind of helped him miss a few games in the beginning of the season, and then he missed a couple games later on in the season with an ankle injury. So he's missed 6 games with 2 different injuries. But when he's been in there, he's done a very good job, grading out at 70.8. Now, I guess because we knew Nate Solder was there, we had Matt Peart. I guess that's why maybe we weren't thinking about taking him. I don't know. But Christian Darrisaw, he might be the one guy out of all these guys. Then you got Najee Harris. He was taken number 24 by the Steelers. The Giants were not taking a running back, although Najee's good. But we got Devontae Booker. We got Saquon Barkley. What kind of hell would be raised if we drafted a frickin' running back in the first round? Then of course, you got Travis Etienne. I screw the guy's name up all the time. Travis Etienne. He is freaking good, but he's been out the whole season. He's got a Liz Frank injury, I think it was. So he was drafted by the Jaguars, number 25 overall. But once again, he's a running back. We weren't taking no running backs. Then you go to Greg Newsome. He was a cornerback. He's missed 6 games. He's graded out. He was drafted by the Browns, number 26, but he's graded out at 70.4. So when he's in there, he does good, but he has missed 6 games though. He doesn't have any interceptions. So that's somebody to kind of consider. Then there was Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver. Right? He's taken by the Ravens at number 27. He's got 44 receptions for 493 yards, 1 touchdown. Nothing super spectacular. Then you got Peyton Turner. He's a defensive end. He has 1 sack. He's played in 5 games for the Saints. Saints picked him at number 28, so no. Then you got Eric Stokes. He just missed 1 game. And the Packers picked him at number 29. He's graded out at 65.7. May not have been too bad of a pick especially for the Giants, especially because he's from Georgia. All right. Then you got the Gregory Rousseau. He was supposed to be mocked to the Giants in some of the drafts at pick of number 11. He has 4 sacks so far. He's graded out at 68.7. He's graded every game. He's played in every game. The Bills picked him at number 30. So, he's somebody, possibly. But there's nobody here just unbelievably lighting it up. Now, then you got Away, the edge rusher. The Ravens picked him number 31. He's only missed 1 game, but he's had 5 sacks so far. Not too bad. Then you got Joe Tryon. He was picked number 32 by the Bucks. He has 4 sacks. He's played in every game, but he's graded out so far to 52.7. So Tryon's got 4 sacks. Away's got 5 sacks. Rousseau's got 4 sacks. Kwity Paye's got 4 or 5 sacks. So, the guys are decent. But we got Azeez Ojulari who wind up getting, has 8 sacks for us. Right, so some of these guys, they're decent. Maybe they take a bigger step next year. Who knows? But, there's nobody like, all of a sudden, Gregory Rousseau has 15 sacks or something. He's not producing like he did in Miami. So these guys are doing decently, but there's nobody unbelievably jumping off the board at you. Some of the cornerbacks are doing okay, but there's nobody unbelievable just jumping off the board. The only one that I would say, for me, all right, that I would be a little ticked off about, which we could have used, especially, Matt Peart doesn't, he's hurt, he's out, may not be the right answer, and Nate Solder's gone. So the only one I could see out of the guys, the back part of the draft, the guys taken after Kadarius Toney that maybe we could have picked, that really might have stepped in there, might have done a better job, than Kadarius Toney, would have been Darrisaw. Got a tackle. We had Darrisaw, the right tackle, and we got Andrew Thomas, the left tackle. We'd have the 2 tackles, and we'd be good to go. Now the only thing is that so Dave Gettleman's biggest contribution to the Giants, other than Andrew Thomas, just might wind up being the pick that we get from the Bears in the 2022 NFL Draft. But unfortunately for David Gettleman, he won't be around to see it taken. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants!